Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we got some good old chibi reviews. Steam bans Japanese games permanently. Payment processors involved? Question mark. Let's get into it. I swear to God, dude, I don't get this weird shit that you know payment this weird trip that both payment processor and Steam are both going on where they're just banning everything that comes out of Japan that they don't like. It's a little wild how they're specifically targeting Japan for some reason.
Valve's unequal review process that even seems to target Japanese people, girl protagonist ADV Inner Truth and girl photography SLG Lover R Kiss Endless Memories simultaneously removed from Steam. Then we had an
That's insane, but at the same time, those are some wild names for some games.
official announcement from the company. To all of you eagerly awaiting the release of Lover Kiss Endless Memories, currently the Steam version store page is not viewable. Due to various circumstances, it has become difficult to release on the Steam platform. However, we are preparing to deliver the PC version on a different platform as soon as the details.
So they say that they're gonna deliver it on a different platform. My guess would probably have to be that it's gonna be either Epic or yeah, just basically Epic. I think is the only route they can realistically go, unless they want to go the itch.io route, but I doubt they would. Since itch.io is sort of going through the exact same thing as Steam, while Epic, I haven't really heard of Epic actually receiving any words from anyone telling them that they have to remove certain games. But then again, I don't think Epic Games has that many, NSFW games to begin with. Not that I know, because I haven't actually actively searched to see. But I know Steam's just riddled with them. I mean, hell, we get them recommended on our page for some goddamn reason. Like, shit. Remembers that weird femboy Fuda game that was blasted on everyone's page as one of their recommended games on the home page at the top that cycles. I saw that and I was like, what the fuck is this? Why is this being recommended to me? And I was not the only one. Apparently, a lot of other people had that shit as well. And they were all just like, what the hell is this? And it turned out it was literally just an AI slop game, which is wild. But yeah, it's just dumb.
Are finalized. We will formally announce it, so we will kindly ask for your patience in awaiting further updates. We will continue to strive to meet everyone's expectations, so please continue to look forward to Lover Kiss Endless Memories. So let's get into the whole bombshell of what's going on here. So for those that need a brief rundown, a quick summary to kind of get everybody up to speed, Collective Shout, a feminist activist organization from Australia, contacted payment processors like...
I swear to God, if Collective Shout is involved with this, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he's about to say. Because genuinely, who else but Collective Shout would complain about this? Let's be honest.
Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, and various other credit card, debit card companies. Upon them contacting the payment processors, these payment processors decided to say, look Steam, look Itch, if you don't remove these thousands of games and basically make thousands of creators lose any source of revenue and money overnight, we're going to blacklist your companies. We're going to blacklist your sites, and you're no longer going to be able to make money. And to kind of emphasize the damage this would cause, basically...
Okay, well, the thing, okay, here's the thing. Just because they're blacklisted doesn't mean you wouldn't be. It sounds to me like they wouldn't have been able to use it to like buy games directly on the site. But unless they also stop you from buying tokens or like Steam points or whatever it is, like the Steam gift cards. If they can't stop you from buying those, realistically, you could have just used your card to buy like a $20, $30, $60, however much you want to spend on Steam gift card on either go to the store or buy one off of Amazon and get the a digital code via Amazon and just redeem it through Steam. If they don't stop you from doing that, you could easily just opt to do that. And even in Steam's own website, you could have a thing that says that allows you to buy tokens and it like says it's not from Steam, does some shady shit, like some like bad dragon sending you a package, but it's wrapped in all black, so that way it doesn't look suspicious, type deal.
Imagine if the entire platform of Steam or itch or whatever, or any company, honestly, you no longer could have credit cards or debit cards processed. You no longer could use your Visa card and make a purchase of a game. Imagine if you could no longer buy Minecraft, GTA, whatever. You just couldn't buy anything on a platform because that credit card, debit card company, payment processors pulled out completely, effectively killing your entire company. So even Steam had to bow down and kiss the very boot of payment processors because of just how powerful they are. And literally in under a night, thousands upon thousands of games were lost, causing a lot of damage. And to this very day, there's a lot of creators and developers, artists, and everybody that is suffering thanks to what payment processors and Collective Shout has done to them. But the point of the matter is that when this happened, Steam was forced to put
I mean, what's going to end up happening is eventually, inevitably, here's what's going to happen. They're gonna have to, people are gonna switch to something else and get like direct pay instead of going around and, put like their, like for example, like on Patreon, if they're even still allowed to have a Patreon, they could probably put the game up there and have people like pay like a certain fee depending where they're from, if they can even adjust that to download the game off of Patreon. They could do something like that. They could also instead have like a link somewhere, like on their Patreon or their X or their Twitch or whatever it is that they have, whatever social medias that they have, that links to like a PayPal, or not a PayPal, because PayPal changed their shit and they're weird. It links to like Cash App or some other third party that isn't PayPal, and you could use that, and whatever the transaction is, they could put it there. That's what they're paying for the transaction and whatnot, and then they could get the game once they pay you. But that would require a little more effort on both sides as opposed to unlocking it via Patreon. But like I said, these are all just ideas about how people would work around this, because this is dumb at the end of the day. The fact that payment processors are like, no, you're not allowed to sell this game because it looks bad for our company, even though no one cares whatsoever. But, people did care about the fact that you're getting involved with this, but you chose to not get involved with OnlyFans, which does a whole lot more damage to women than video games. You also chose to get involved with, you also chose to not get involved with sites like the Hub and whatnot. Why? Even though those are exactly just as harmful to women as OnlyFans, you allow fansly purchases to still go through. So it's like, who are you really quote unquote protecting here? Under your supposed BS that, oh, it's either for protecting the kids, protecting women, or protecting your own image. Because in my opinion, all three are BS, and this is literally just to see how far you can reach before any real pushback happens, or you have to like retract everything you've done.
an entirely new policy into effect to basically say, if payment processors want us to remove something, we have to remove something. We have to do it, or we effectively could lose our entire company. And this pretty much stated that these payment processors like Visa and Master.
I think what pisses me off more is the fact that Valve has more than enough money behind them to actually take them to court, which probably could have solidified, especially, and with everything that Trump is trying to push when it comes to like banks doing this type of stuff, where they're like essentially strong arming companies to bend the knee to them, or else they won't be able to use them. Trump is trying to get rid of that, with the Fair Access to Banking Act and that executive order he pushed out. But at the end of the day, an executive order isn't written law, so it only has so much reach and whatnot. But it's like, they have the money, they could sue them and be like, well, look at this, Trump is trying to push this into law so that way things like this don't happen. um And I feel like that's totally valid. And here's a perfect example of why. Look at what they're trying to do with our company. I feel like they could have done something like that, you know, if not go to court, then at least go to like social media and like promote that law that Trump is trying to pass and whatnot, or the bill that's trying to be introduced.
Card, they are in so much control that not even something like Valve could even fight back against their monopoly, how much money that they actually have. Because put this in perspective, basically Valve is a massive company that houses so many different games. And if they legitimately can't even take a stand for gamers, that has been very pro-consumer, pro-gamers basically for decades at this point, then it says a lot about what's currently going on. And so the issue here is that these payment processors have way too much power, and obviously it came more public knowledge in the last few months. More people became aware of Visa and MasterCard and PayPal and what they've been doing. But the point of the matter is, with the new policy, it basically meant that payment processors could pick and choose to remove games that they don't like on the platform, and Steam would have to comply. And obviously, now with those policies in effect, we have Japanese games, like for instance, Lover R Kiss Endless Memories, and another game, which, you know, I showed at the beginning of the video, Inner Truth, that was also removed from Steam simultaneously, by the way. With the articles and the sources and all that's coming out, both of these games were removed at the exact same time.
Yeah, and it's a little odd. It's also a very massive slippery slope, might I say, to like ban these types of games, because it's like, okay, where do you draw the line as to what constitutes NSFW? Are you only targeting games that are like whatchamacallit, are you only targeting games that would be considered, you know, pornographic games that have like the nudity and the sex scene and all that other stuff that illustrates that it's clearly an adults only video game? Would you only go after those type of video games, or would you also go after other types of video games that are just rated M for mature because they cover some of these topics that you might not like? Because, like, bro, we can literally see in the images here that Love Endless Memory Kiss, or Lover Kiss Endless Memory, quite literally is coming out for the Switch and the Switch 2. These are Nintendo. You're literally removing games that Nintendo is releasing on their own products. And Nintendo is very picky choosy with what they release. You know, they're very particular as to what they will slap the Nintendo brand on, and what they'll allow to release on their platform, on their consoles and whatnot. So it's like, how are you going to ban a game that even Nintendo deems it's acceptable for their consoles?
Which is pretty damning, pretty concerning. It pretty much emphasizes that it's the exact same reason for both of them. First off, the correlation between both of them is that there was female protagonist. Secondly, it was a game from Japan. And thirdly, it was a game that has potentially suggestive themes, but obviously it doesn't show anything. It doesn't have any NSFW, anything like that.
Like I said, if it's good enough for Nintendo, how is Steam going to say it's not good enough for them and claim that it's not family friendly enough for Steam when it's good enough for Nintendo?
But obviously they were instantly removed from the platform. And so in turn, this has effectively not just damaged the release of these games, but also it has showcased another example of the systematic domino effect of censorship, not just on Steam's platform, but on the internet, and how much effect that these payment processors actually have. It's honestly really bad, and it makes me so infuriated to see that this is continuing to happen. It's getting worse and worse, and we're seeing more and more games just pulled from Steam over and over again. The fact that we have companies officially having to talk about this and all that, it's just, it's actually so sad, because
Yeah, it is. It sucks because just think about the amount of time people spend to make this game, to ensure that, to code it so that way it can run on all these platforms, to ensure that it runs properly with little to no bugs as possible. And then it seems like, oh yeah, sorry, this game, we're not going to let you release it on our platform because it might be too suggestive. And you're like, what do you mean it might be too suggestive? Nintendo literally lets us release this game in our console, on their console. How is it good enough for Nintendo and not good enough for Steam? Steam's response is probably like, well, you see, your company's Japanese and so is Nintendo, so you have an inherent advantage at getting a pass from Nintendo. I bet you that'd be the goofiest defense, but it's probably what they'd say. And it's like it's just wild,
It's
man.
very obvious that this has happened thanks to payment processors. Steam didn't do stuff like this, and the fact that two different games was removed at the exact same time.
Steam never did anything like this till before Steam never did anything like this until Collective Shout started complaining to payment processors. That's when Steam had to start doing this. Because if we all recall correctly, Collective Shout didn't go directly to payment processors. First they went to Steam. Steam told them, no, we're not removing these games. Fuck right off. And that pissed off Collective Shout, so they went to payment processors. This all started because Steam initially told them no, and they said, well, if you're not going to listen to us, we'll find someone who will. And they found payment processors. And payment processors were like, yeah, we'll see what we can do and see how far we can push it. And it's just so dumb.
It definitely reinforces the idea that it is payment processors. Now, I do want to, actually state this. It is not officially confirmed that it was payment processors that caused this, but looking at everything that's happened in the last few months, and then looking at what payment processors have been doing to Japan for years now, it's not too far-fetched to assume the reason why these games were removed was because of that. So, to get into the crux of the issue, payment processors suck ass. I absolutely hate them. Like, seriously, they are an absolute.
Yeah, and it kind of sucks that we only have a handful and they all share the same ideology. It's like there's no competitor that shares the opposite ideology to prevent these people from having a monopoly on practically anything and everything and essentially controlling the flow of the market. And the flow, or rather, not the flow of the market, but the flow of commerce. And it's pretty wild how we just let them. There realistically, there should be at least 2 to 3 more banks, and at least out of those 2 to 3 banks, at least 1 or 2 of those banks sharing a completely separate ideology from the other banks, essentially you'd create let's see, you'd create 5 payment processors. Let's say Visa and MasterCard already exist, so you'd create 3 more. 2 of those 3 share, let's say they share an ideology that's completely opposite to Visa and MasterCard. That's fine. Then there's another payment processor that doesn't share an ideology that's the similar to either of them. So that way there's a third option for like that's like a neutral payment processor, doesn't involve politics or anything like that. They're just like, hey, we're just here to be a middleman, you know something like that. So realistically there should be, so that way there isn't this blatant monopoly on all these things like Steam and video games, forcing them to like bend the knee.
Absolute parasite to creative expression, creative freedom, and they're continuing to get stronger and stronger and just censoring anything they possibly want and can.
Yeah, I mean, we already saw that happen in Patreon as well, and PayPal. Patreon's already going around just deleting accounts and whatnot of creators, and PayPal is just going around, just deleting, just outright deleting accounts and keeping the money and whatnot, and that's kind of dumb, in my opinion. They should pay you out what little you have there, send it to your bank, and if you don't have a bank, send you a notification, be like, hey, you have this many days to withdraw your funds. Your account is going to be terminated on this day, and if you don't redeem your funds, then sucks to suck, we got to keep it. Something like that, so that way people can actually keep the money that they rightfully made. Which is why others are starting to switch to stuff like Cash App and whatnot. Just create a business account on Cash App and have it be the same username as your Twitch. And if you're a streamer, and bada bing, bada boom, you just have like a panel that links directly to the Cash App. or have like the little the scannable QR code pop up periodically on like screen or some shit, you know? Or like how I have my little bubble up top, have one of those as well, where like periodically it flashes your social medias, and in there somewhere also is like the Cash App thing. Oh, perfect timing, just what I was talking about. That thing up there that just popped out with all my socials. You can throw a Cash App, the Cash App thing up there with the little Cash App symbol, and bada bing, bada boom. Easy as pie. So it's like people are starting to already switch to other things, but it's like it's just they're not doing it in the numbers that affects, you know, stuff that these titans that already exist, you know.
And the fact that we have Japanese games getting removed kind of implies that once again they are just they really have something against Japan. Like at this point, with what they've been doing to Japan for all these years now, I'm not gonna lie, it looks racist. Like with the amount of content that they keep targeting from Japan to like dating apps to anime, manga, doujins, gaming in general, it's just like,
Bro, they literally targeted an audio book app that and said that it was to protect women and whatnot, that the feminists wanted taken down, and they did it, and they did it under the guise of, oh, we're doing it to protect women, and lo and behold, it was women who primarily used it. The main demographic that used that app, that audiobook app, for like erotic audiobooks, was women. It was women. It was essentially like women buying audiobooks of like the equivalent of what that was would be like if a whole bunch of women started using Audible and buying this, all their books, such as Morning Glory Milking Farm or whatever it's called, that we like already saw a few times in the channel, and stuff like that. And then payment processors or the feminists were like, oh no, Audible is bad because people are buying too many of these books, like Milking Farm. We have to do something about that. And then they got Audible essentially shut down because of it. And then guess lo and behold, it'd be a whole bunch of women complaining that, hey, why'd you delete it? All of our books were on there. And it's like, oh, the majority of the majority of people who were using it for those types of books were women, you know. They're autoerotica novels. It's sort of the same concept. It's like it's just funny how they said we're doing this for women only for it to affect women.
it feels targeted. Like it really just feels straight up targeted, and it's getting worse and more noticeable. And as they continue to do this type of stuff, they continue to censor content. It really, they're making their image look worse and worse as time goes on. And it's not actually helping their brand. It's doing the exact opposite. And you know, I have a theory. I've been thinking about this for the last month or two, ever since I made my like last video really discussing this. But I think at this point, the only way we can really counter these payment processors, besides, let's say, a lawsuit or the government stepping in, but the problem is all these governments are really embedded with these payment processors like Visa and MasterCard. I think the only way to really counter this at this point is that payment processors fall on their own sword, or in this case, they cause their own problem to the point to where they no longer can get away with it. Like, for example here, let's do a hypothetical. Let's say someone like Collective Shout came around again, okay, next year, and GTA 6 was about to be released. Let's say this new contacts payment processors, and they contact them to be like, well, how are you allowing this game like GTA on Steam, on these different sites and platforms? I could see, judging by just how they love to rampantly censor things, that they might censor the wrong thing, and it will cause a cascading effect of everybody just being outright pissed. Like, think about this. There was so much vocal anger towards them just taking down, like, basically adult-themed games from Steam and itch. Imagine if, like, a regular...
Yeah, he has a point. Imagine if they announced the next God of War, and and even though realistically God of War should be done, like the story's concluded, Kratos had his eat, pray, love moment, and realize that he's allowed to have other feelings other than rage and whatnot. And Atreus goes and does his own thing. So it's like it'd be weird for them. But let's just say they do release another God of War, and they do the whole Egypt thing that everyone's predicting, that supposedly the next God of War is going to be based off of like end game, like quote unquote clues and Easter eggs and stuff like that. Um, and and everyone's like massively hyped over it. Let's say that the story looks like it's gonna be absolutely fucking fire. The gameplay looks, exquisite. The cutscenes are like out of this world, just chef's kiss. Everything about that game markets itself that it deserves to be at a price point of like $60 to $70 base. It's an actual like premium high quality game that deserves to be there. Like the cinematics are beautiful. You get at least like minimum 6 hours worth of gameplay with the cinematics included and whatnot. That's at least a decent chunk of time and shit. And then payment processors are like, oh no, you can't release that game on Steam. We're not allowing you to release it. Everyone would lose their shit if they did that. And that would probably be like he said, like Chibi said, if they stop the next GTA. What if like he said GTA and I was like, oh, if they said GTA, if they tried to stop GTA, they'd be fucked. It's like it's like if they had tried this with Modern Warfare, because of Modern Warfare, you're going around killing each other with guns. And it looks bad because gun violence. It's like if they went that and then they stopped people from buying Modern Warfare 6, the new one that just came out, after playing that beta and absolutely loving the ever living hell out of the beta that had come out. It would have been absolutely disastrous and suicidal for them to do that.
Game, like for instance GTA, was removed thanks to this, the internet outrage would be astronomical. Now, I don't know if these payment processors are that stupid, but I mean, the fact that they're doing all this for brand protection, we know they're not that smart. I mean, the real reason is they're doing all this is for control and, basically bullying people out of the business and getting what they want. But as they continue this, they're going to step on the wrong series, the wrong game or whatever. And
like I said, they're literally doing this just to see how far they can push it. They're trying to see just how far they can push their play for control. And unless something is done about this, they're gonna keep on going and they're gonna keep on targeting other things until people tell them, all right, enough is enough. At which point they'll essentially have enough stuff to the point where they can already control a certain subset of games if they aren't told, all right, enough is enough. You need to release every other game that has been released. You can't do this anymore. You're never going to be able to do this anymore. Unless something like that happens, if they tell them, all right, stop, and then they do stop, but they keep what's banned already banned, then they could use what's already banned to set a baseline for like, all right, well then we ban these types of games. You can't make games like these anymore or that resemble anything like this. But everything else is totally fine. But then the another issue arises where if we go that route, where inevitably down the line, they're going to try to make another push for this type of stuff and just see how far they could take it again. I mean, hell, I think we saw it in that Smash JT video, where it's like 10 years ago in Mexico, I believe, the liberals tried to push a ban against a lot of banned memes and whatnot. And then 10 years later, their current president is trying to push the exact same thing. I think that happened either in Mexico or somewhere here in America. One or the other. But the moral of the story is they'll try. Even if they fail, they'll try again down the line. And if they succeed, then that's just more incentive for them to keep on trying even harder, which kind of sucks ass, Fucking nothing but a bunch of parasites, if you ask.
someone's going to fight back. And if they continue doing this, that's going to happen. That will happen. That's an inevitable at this point if this continues. But regardless, it upsets me to no end seeing this type of stuff continuously happening, because even if you don't like the content that's within these games, like you don't like Japanese games, you don't like, games that are meant more for adults or have suggestive content, it doesn't change the fact that they have a right to exist. They're not real. It's fictional stories, and
Yeah, like at the end of the day, you don't have to consume the media, but the media doesn't have to disappear. Just don't consume it, don't interact with it. Just like everything else in life and every other goddamn application out there on the internet that you can use, or whether it's on your phone or on the computer, you can curate stuff to your liking. Yeah, I know it's absolutely goddamn insane. But you know what's wild? On Steam, if you don't like, let's say, Sony or PlayStation, you can go to that specific publisher and, oh my god, hide their stuff, or choose to not see their games anymore. Sort of like a soft ban, or you can only see it if you look it up. For instance, like if you don't want to see like the Naughty Dog games, the what are they called, the Last of Us. If you don't want to see those games popping up on your feed, you can make it so that way that publisher is no longer shown. The publisher's games aren't shown to you. But if you want to look up Spider-Man, you can still look up Spider-Man, and you'll just have to click it and actually go to the page manually instead of it popping up on your feed periodically. You know. So yeah, it's insane. Just like how in YouTube you can, if there's a video that pops up on your feed and you don't like it, you can, guess what? Click do not recommend. And if it tells you why, and if it prompts you, you could click don't recommend video or don't recommend channel. And I think for both, it gives you the option to tell them why. Same thing with X. You can ban certain people and ban certain words so certain topics don't pop up. It's insane. It's mind blowing. I know, but those tools do exist.
It's the same argument like video games cause violence. That's basically what's being done here. It's stupid. It showcases basically people being complete schizos and not understanding the difference between fiction and reality. But I'm going to leave it at that, though. I'm just wanted to bring this up to kind of shed a light on it because I feel like a lot of people aren't aware of this. But yeah, Japan getting censored once again. You gotta love it. Obviously sarcasm there. It's just it's bad. Anyways, you all have a fantastic day or night wherever you live. Sorry for my voice in this video. I am sick, as you could probably tell. Forgive me. But I love you guys. Chibi out.
Honestly, honestly, I think it just sucks. It honestly sucks, and it's tiring, especially for the people of Japan, because it's like, okay, you see all this stuff happening specifically to your country, and you can't help but wonder yourself, why the fuck are they only targeting your country and stuff that's coming out of creators that are Japanese? I'd be like, bro, this is getting old and tiring. Can we do something about this? And people are doing stuff about this, you know? Like, you already have politicians talking about it and politicians fighting back against it. So it's like, it sucks, but it's also only a matter of time before, laws get put into play, protecting these people, and protecting everyone in general against this type of abuse that they're clearly doing and pushing. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, and all that YouTube jazz, and I'll catch y'all in the next one later.